How about now? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Yes, no, yes. Yes. Oh, good. I got a heads up. I got a nod. Wonderful, wonderful. So lots of things going on as we're doing these programs. And so we appreciate that all of you are here with us. We are going to be having Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. So Pharmacist Ben Fuchs is a registered pharmacist. He has a passion for nutrition. So he brings his expertise in nutrition and his expertise in pharmaceuticals and his expertise in skin, and gives us information that is empowering, that we can utilize and just take and put into action in our own lives and our families' lives. So Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, welcome to
Thank you.
today with you and me.
Thank you. Ben and Becca Zoom.
Ben and Becca Zoom. How about that?
I like
It
that.
makes it really easy for me to remember.
It was easy for me to remember, but I don't know if you're not named Ben and Becca, it might not be easy to remember.
Well, if you're looking for Pharmacist Ben and then Becca and the Zoom.
All right.
Ben
Point
Zoom.
well taken. Point well taken. So what are we talking about today, Miss Becca?
Well, I have several people asking what water is the best water? Filtered water, distilled water, alkaline water. You're drinking water. So what is in your water?
My water is my favorite water and the water I've been drinking for many, many years, which I'll tell you in a moment. But let's go over some of those forms of water that you mentioned. First of all, alkaline water is BS. It's based on the idea that you want your blood to be alkaline. That is true. But by the time the water gets through your stomach and goes into your intestines and into the bloodstream and then into the kidneys, it's not going to be alkaline anymore. In fact, once it leaves the stomach, it's not going to be alkaline anymore. The stomach acidifies it. So it's really, even logic tells you how silly it is. But because we suffer from low PQ, remember PQ? Did we talk about PQ? PQ.
I don't recall.
I've been doing so many of these Zoom calls, I forgot who I said what to. PQ is analogous to IQ and EQ. You've heard IQ, obviously, right? IQ is intelligence, problem solving, mental, cognitive abilities. EQ, have you heard of EQ?
No.
EQ is emotional intelligence. Some people have high EQ, they're more compassionate, have more empathy, they're better in relationships, they know how to talk to people. That's called EQ, emotional intelligence. You have IQ, intellectual intelligence, EQ, emotional intelligence. Well, I came up with something called PQ. I made it up, so you probably haven't heard of it. It's physical intelligence. What we suffer from in this country is an epidemic of low PQ. We don't understand our bodies. We don't understand our biochemistry. We don't understand our biology. We don't know how to eat. We don't understand nutrition. And it costs us longevity. It costs us health. It costs us money. It costs us joie de vivre. It costs us our relationships. It costs us a good life because we don't understand how our bodies work. So when the doctor says, oh, you don't need that silly little gallbladder, you can live without it, let's just take it out and you'll be better off. Or we say, okay, fine, I don't know what it does anyway. Or the doctor says, well, we think you might be at risk for breast cancer, so we're just going to take those breasts right now. You don't need them anyway. Or you have endometriosis, or you have pelvic pain because you're not getting enough essential fatty acids, or you're not clearing your estrogen effectively. So the doctor says, we're just going to take your uterus out. You don't need your uterus. We'll just put you on hormones. Or we're just going to take your thyroid out. You don't need your thyroid. We'll just put you on hormones. You don't have to worry about taking care of your immune system. We'll just give you this injection. Yeah, it's a genetic injection. We never did it before, but we've done the studies. We know it's okay. And because we have low PQ, we just say, okay, fine, do it. So what I'm about personally, what longevity is about, and hopefully what you guys are about too, is helping raise PQ, helping people understand how their bodies work, how chemistry works, how biology works. And it doesn't have to be anything complicated. You don't have to become a PhD or anything, but you just have to understand some of the basics. So for example, alkaline water has a high pH. And I'll tell you what alkaline means here in a moment. Alkaline water has a certain pH. Alkaline is the opposite of acid. your stomach is acidic. When you drink the water, what's going to happen when the acid hits the alkaline? It's going to neutralize it. It's not going to be alkaline anymore. So immediately, just logic, if you understand how the body works, will tell you that alkaline water is just BS. It's silly. So it is true, you want your blood to be alkaline, but the way your blood stays alkaline, it's supposed to stay alkaline, is with oxygen. Oxygen and inhalation, inhaling oxygen is the body's main mechanism for raising the blood pH. Real quickly, just because we're talking about alkaline and acid, alkaline and acid are measured by something called pH. The pH scale is a scale that goes from 0 to 14, where 0 is very acid, 14 is very alkaline. Alkaline substances have extra electricity. Acid substances steal electricity. Sometimes you want electricity to be stolen in order to make things happen. Sometimes you want extra electricity. So sometimes you want things acid, sometimes you want things alkaline. In general, you want the blood to be slightly alkaline. So it has a little bit extra electrical energy, a little bit extra electrons, they say. So people who know a little bit, and a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing, and have heard that, oh, alkaline is good, may gravitate towards alkaline water. And then there's marketers who will take advantage of all that, and they'll sell you alkaline water. But just logic will tell you, once you drink the water, it's not going to be alkaline anymore. It's acid in the stomach. So alkaline water is BS. Tap water is one of the worst things you could put in your body for the most part. Now, there's some cities that are better than others. Some cities get their tap water from glacial water. It's a little bit better. Big cities, municipal water in big cities, especially older cities back east, are really problematic. The chemicals they put in tap water react with toxins to create even more toxic substances. When they filter out, when they purify water, or they clean the water at the purifying plants, they only purify and search for several hundred different contaminants, but there's thousands of different contaminants in water. Tap water is a mess, and it's best avoided if possible. Filtered water, a little bit better, but you just don't know, because different companies have different filters and different specifications. Plus, you don't know when your filter is starting to lose filtering capacity. So you don't know when you're when the filter is becoming weaker and things can start to leak through. They don't all come through all at once. They'll come through gradually as the filter gets deteriorated or breaks down. So that's not really a great choice either, although it's definitely better than tap water. Spring water is water that comes from springs, obviously. Spring water, if you get it right from the spring, is probably pretty darn good water, because spring water contains minerals, broken down minerals, electrolyte minerals. I'll tell you what electrolytes are in a second. Electrolyte minerals that can create a certain structure to the water. We'll talk about structured water in a second also. Give the water a certain structure and electrical energy. It's always a good idea to vortex your water if you're drinking water, like when you're making your Beyond Tangy Tangerine. It's always a good idea or smoothies. It's always a good idea to vortex water, because when you vortex it, spin water, you generate electrical charges. You electrify the water. Spring water is naturally electrified because it has natural vortices in it. So spring water is good theoretically. Problem is, when you drink bottled spring water, a lot of times companies will take the water from the spring and then they'll put chlorine in it, or they'll put preservatives or detoxifying elements or decontaminating chemicals in the water. So it may be derived from spring water, but you don't know what's in the water by the time you drink it. Not only that, but not all springs are from water tables that are clean. So if you're drinking from spring water that's from a water table in New Jersey, and or in Texas, or places where the water table is contaminated, you may be getting contaminants in that spring water. So theoretically, spring water would be good if you're drinking it right from the spring, but if it's bottled spring water, it could be a problem. So then there's the next two forms of water that are probably the two most important and two best forms of water. One is reverse osmosis water, RO water, they call it. And reverse osmosis water will sometimes be called purified water. You have to look on the label and see how the water was purified. Usually it'll say purified by reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis is a very clean form of water. It's water that's been driven through a very small filter that will pull out all the contaminants and the bacteria and the viruses, et cetera. My favorite kind of water, however, is distilled water. It's the cleanest water. It's the kind of water we use in the pharmacy. It's the kind of water I use in my skincare products. It's the cleanest water that you could find. Some people will tell you that it's dead water. That is, and in a way they're right, because it doesn't contain anything. It doesn't contain any nutrients. It doesn't contain any minerals. It doesn't contain any electrolytes. The fact that it doesn't contain minerals and electrolytes is not necessarily a bad thing. You can always add your electrolytes, and you can always add minerals to your water, which is a good idea to do anyway. But the fact that it doesn't have electrolytes makes it hungry water. That is, it will act to pull out minerals that are trapped in tissues. It has a cleansing effect. Because it doesn't have any minerals in it, it will pull out minerals. And there's a principle in pharmacy that says that things go from areas of high concentration to areas of low concentration. So if you don't have any minerals in your water, but you do have minerals in the tissues, loose minerals, such as calcium. Calcification of tissues is a really big problem. In fact, calcification of the heart and the blood vessels is one of the ways that we die. Calcification of all the soft tissues is one of the leading causes of death. Distilled water will clean out that calcification. It actually has a chelating-like effect on calcium deposits. And also, distilled water can help dilute stones, oxalate stones, calcium stones that can be problematic when it comes to kidney stones or when it comes to gout, for example. So distilled water has a tendency to pull minerals out of tissues that are loose. It won't pull minerals out of your bones. That's something that sometimes you'll hear people say that it will pull minerals out of your bones. That doesn't happen. That's not a thing. It will pull out loose minerals that are stuck in tissues. And that does happen as we get older. Our tissues start to get hard, they calcify, and distilled water can have a chelating effect on minerals that are floating around in the blood or deposited in soft tissues. So I'm going with distilled water. That's my favorite kind of water to drink. You do need to make sure that you're getting your electrolytes. Drinking water is not a great place to get your electrolytes anyway, unless you're drinking vegetable water, and that's something I'll talk about here in a second. So you got the two best forms of water are reverse osmosis water and distilled water by far. Now, water, believe it or not, is very weird stuff. We tend to take for granted water because we all obviously hear about our bodies are 70% water, the earth is 70% water, but it's still very weird. For example, do you know water is the only substance that floats as it gets denser? Most substances, when they get denser, will sink. Water, when it gets denser, floats. Water is very difficult to compress. Water compression is, you can't really squeeze water. You can't really compress water. And as water is under higher pressure, it actually becomes less sticky. Usually things, when they become, when you press them, they'll become more sticky, more viscous. Water becomes less viscous as it becomes compressed, as it undergoes high pressure. Water has got some really weird things associated with it. One of the weirdest things about water is water can form structures. There's two major kinds of water. In fact, you guys probably remember from high school, there's three states of water. You got the gaseous state of water, that's called steam. You've got the liquid state of water, that's called liquid. And then you've got the solid state of water, which is called ice. And those are the three states of water. But as it turns out, there's a fourth state of water, and that is a form of water that is a cross between a liquid and a solid. It's a gel. It's said to be structured water. And this is the kind of water that our cells contain. And this is the kind of water that most of our body is made up of. Our body is made up of liquid water or disorganized water. Technically, they call that bulk water, and structured water. And most of the water in our body is structured. Structured water has very, very interesting properties that bulk water or disorganized or chaotic water, ordinary water, doesn't have. For example, structured water conducts electrical energy very effectively. Structured water also has an information processing ability. Structured water is actually crystalline, and it's technically said to be a liquid crystal. Just like an LCD, a liquid crystal display in your calculator or on your television set, liquid crystals are information processors. So structured water has information and electrical properties that ordinary water doesn't have, and most of the water in our body is structured. How do you want? one of the most important strategies for anti-aging or staying healthy is to improve water structuring. As we age, not only our bodies become less structured, but our water becomes less structured. We blobify as we age. We lose our structure. And this is one of the distinguishing characteristics of an old person as opposed to a young person. And this is one of the things that we hate about the aging process. People spend billions of dollars on skincare procedures to create more structure in their skin and in their appearance to counteract some of this blobbing that occurs. The blobbing that occurs is at least partially the result of a disorganization of the structured water. So learning how to structure water, figuring out how we can structure water inside the body has wonderful and very important anti-aging and health promoting properties. Water is structured by the action of proteins and electrolytes, minerals. The combination of electrolytes and various proteins that are floating around in the blood and structural proteins structures the water. So for example, collagen has a structuring effect on water, and the water that surrounds collagen is structured. The water that's further away from collagen is less structured or unstructured. Water that doesn't have that has electrolytes in it has a structure. Water that doesn't have electrolytes in it is not structured, it has less structure. That's one of the reasons why it's important to make sure that you're getting electrolytes. Electrolyte deficiencies will cause water to become disorganized. Spinning water in a vortex, we talked earlier about how vortices and spring water make that spring water more energetic. Well, those vortices and spring water also structure the water. So anytime you spin water vortex, you're increasing the electrical energy in that water and you're creating structure in that water. One of the all-time great ways to improve structured water in the body is to make sure that you get sunshine. The sun has a structuring effect on the liquid parts of our body, on the water parts of our body. And this is one of the most important benefits of making sure you get regular sun exposure. Very fascinatingly, there's an element in the body that is probably the most important element. I'm saying element, a lot of people think of it as minerals, but I call them elements. There's an element in the body that is incredibly vital for the structuring process. In fact, this element is stored in the skin, and it's this element that absorbs the energy from the sun and converts that energy into electricity that is then used to structure water. It's the element sulfur, or the electrolyte sulfate. Sulfate is sulfur plus oxygen, and sulfate is technically an electrolyte because it dissolves in water. Electrolytes are minerals that dissolve in water. And when a mineral dissolves, or an element, I should say, dissolves in water, it electrifies everything. The element becomes electrified and the water becomes electrified. And this is one of the major benefits of water. Water electrifies non-electrical substances. So if you just have a sulfate powder sitting on your table, there's no electrical energy. There's no significant electrical energy in that sulfate. But if you put water in it, the sulfate dissolves in water and all of a sudden you have electrical charges. Likewise with potassium, likewise with sodium, likewise with chloride, likewise with all of these plant-derived molecules that are in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine or in fruits and vegetables that we call electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals or elements that dissolve in water. And this is one of the problems with our understanding of water. When I said earlier, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. Now everybody knows about water, and in fact, culturally, we know a lot about water. People are drinking water all over the place. You got bottles of water everywhere. There's all these companies selling bottled water. I remember when, about 35 years ago, I had a friend who was a doctor, and he told me that he was going to stop being a doctor. He was a surgeon, a plastic surgeon, and he said, I'm going to get out of the doctor business. I am going to start selling water. And I said, that's the craziest thing I ever heard of. What are you going to do selling water? Who's going to buy water? This was 35 years ago. Well, sure enough, now everybody's drinking water, and Dr. Stormo, that was his name, turned out to be a very smart guy, and he retired. He became a multi-gazillionaire selling water. And the reason we can sell water now is because everybody's drinking water. Everybody knows about water. There's other reasons too. Water is becoming a very important commodity. It's becoming scarcer and scarcer. So water is becoming valuable, and people are drinking water. However, What you have to recognize is the more water you're drinking, the more you're diluting your nutrients, and specifically your electrolytes and your water-soluble nutrients. Not only diluting them, but you're also excreting them, because the more water you drink, the more you go to the bathroom. The more water you drink, the more vitamin C you urinate out, the more B complex you urinate out, the more potassium you urinate out, the more calcium you urinate out. Now, there are some regulatory mechanisms at the level of the kidneys that will control the amount of electrolytes that are released, because electrolytes are so darn important. Nonetheless, you're still running risks of decreasing your electrolytes and decreasing your water-soluble vitamins when you're drinking water, which is why you want to be drinking beyond tangy tangerine water at least some of the time. You're drinking water, half a gallon of water a day, or anywhere from a quarter gallon to half a gallon of water a day is a good place to be. If you're drinking half a gallon of water a day, make sure some of that water is beyond tangy tangerine water. Make sure you're getting some of your liquids from vegetable juices as well. Fruit juices are a problem. You want to be very careful about sugar, because sugar, believe it or not, has a dehydrating effect. So if you're trying to get water from fruit juice or from soda, you may be going maybe kind of like defeating the purpose of drinking the water or drinking the liquid, because the sugar in the soda or the sugar in the fruit juice has a dehydrating effect. And also liquids that have caffeine can have a dehydrating effect, because caffeine acts like a diuretic. So the best way to get your water, if you're going to drink straight water, is distilled water. Periodically of the water that you're drinking, that's straight water, you want to make sure some of it's beyond tangy tangerine water. I absolutely love vegetable juices, and I do vegetable juices every day, but not the kind of vegetable juices that you get like V8 or vegetable juices or canned vegetable juices that you get at the supermarket. Fresh vegetable juices. Fresh vegetable juices not only contain all the nutrients in a very easy to absorb form that are in the vegetables, the vitamins and the electrolytes, but it also has structured water. The water in vegetables as well as in fruits is structured. So when you're drinking veggie juices, you're drinking structured water. Now, over time, that structuring, the energy that is required to keep that water structured, that liquid structured, will dissipate. And that's why you can see sometimes, if you make a fresh vegetable juice, you'll see that over time, the vegetable juice will separate out, and the heavy stuff and the colored stuff and the nutrients will sink to the bottom, and the top will be kind of clear. That represents a loss of energy. So you want to make sure that you're drinking your vegetable juices fresh when you drink your vegetable juices. Couple things, a couple myths or a couple benefits that you can get from water. Water is a pain reliever. A lot of times we feel pain when our tissues are contracted and dehydrated. So you want to, if you have back pain or joint pain, drinking water can help with back pain or joint pain. You're not going to necessarily treat your dry skin by drinking more water. This is a myth that I hear, and I'm in the skincare business. You guys, most of you guys know that. You hear this all the time. Oh, you have dry skin? Drink more water. Not true. Nobody has ever had their dry skin improved by drinking more water, unless they were completely dehydrated and they were in the desert somewhere and had water for days or weeks, or days. You can't go weeks without water, but if they hadn't had water for 3 or 4 days, that's different. But for most of us, the dehydration or dry skin is not caused by a lack of water, but rather by a lack of structured trapped water. That is water that's trapped in underneath the surface of the skin by the skin barrier, water that's trapped by fats, specifically skin fats, ceramides, for example, or phospholipids that are in the skin trap water. And collagen has a water trapping and water structuring effect as well. So you're not going to take care of your dry skin by drinking more water. Not that drinking water is not important for the skin or for the rest of the body, but it's not a treatment for dry skin. Water is also very important for diluting blood sugar. Water is a diabetic's best friend, especially if you fall off the wagon and you eat a bunch of sugar, you go to a Christmas party or a birthday party, you end up eating a lot of sweets. Drink water, it will dilute your blood sugar. Also, first thing in the morning, most diabetics know, if they're testing their blood sugar, they know that their blood sugar tends to be higher concentration first thing in the morning. So first thing in the morning, if you're diabetic, drink more water, you'll dilute your blood sugar. If you're not a diabetic and you drink cold water first thing in the morning, it will give you energy. Drinking water first thing in the morning dilutes your blood, so you get more circulation, especially to your brain. So you get more clarity first thing in the morning and more energy first thing in the morning because you improve circulation. In fact, drinking water is just a great way to improve blood circulation in general. More water means less blood clots for people who are prone to blood clots or who are on blood thinners. Drinking more water may allow you to decrease the amount of decrease your dosage of blood thinners. Drinking more water also will improve bowel movements. A lot of normal stool is water. If you're not drinking a lot of water, it becomes harder to have a bowel movement. So drinking more water has a detoxifying effect for the bowels. It also has a detoxifying effect for the kidneys. It helps clear out the kidneys. So drinking more water is detoxifying and improves bowel movements, it also improves digestive health. Some people say don't drink water with your meals. Bad advice. You do want to drink water with your meals, and you want to drink water before your meals. If you drink water before your meals, you'll find that you're eating less food. And drinking water is a great diet tool because it has a filling, satisfying effect. In fact, a lot of times when we feel like eating, we're really thirsty and we're looking for hydration. So drinking water before your meals will allow you to eat less food. Drinking water with your meals will help you digest your food, and it will also allow you to eat less food. You'll find that you're fuller faster when you drink water with your meals. Now, the water is an important part of the digestive process, but that water is supposed to come from fresh fruits and vegetables. The reason why water with meals is important is because many of us are eating foods that are dehydrated or cooked and have had their water content removed or evaporated out. So drinking water with your meals can help activate digestive juices and digestive enzymes. Some people say, oh, water dilutes digestive enzymes. Not true. The digestive enzymes in our stomach are designed to work best when they're hydrated. So water doesn't dilute your digestive enzymes, it actually activates your digestive enzymes. Water also has a I saw, okay, that's all the things I want to say about water. Let me see if there's anything else here that I want to say. For heartburn, for dyspepsia and indigestion, water can dilute acids as well. So water can help you if you're dealing with heartburn. All right, I think that's all the things I want to say about water. If anybody has any questions, if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
There's a lot of questions,
Okay.
Pharmacist Ben.
Okay.
So the distilled water thing is totally opposite to what I have heard over the last 10 years. So
did you hear the hungry water? Did you hear the thing about, I remember there's one more thing I want to say. Let me just say this one thing. Longevity has a great structured water product. Did you know this? It's called Quanta water.
Quanta water.
Quanta water is Dr. Fred Van Loo. I don't think he's a doctor, but he's the water doctor.
Water doctor.
He has a special device that actually electrifies water and creates a structuring effect on the water. And you can buy the Quanta water. That's an example of structured water. Although Fred tells me that it has a lot more benefits than just structuring. It also has electronic benefits that make water more energizing. Structured water, by the way, is more hydrating than ordinary water. So back to your question, you said you heard not to drink distilled water. Did you hear not to drink distilled water because it's hungry? It didn't have electrolytes?
I heard because it's empty water, so
empty,
it's
right.
And empty. It would be like it's hungry, where it's
hungry. They call it hungry water, empty water. To me, and forgive me, I don't mean to sound rude or anything. And I've heard that for years. I've heard people say that. Forgive me again. I don't mean to be rude. That's the silliest damn thing I've ever heard. You're not supposed to get your minerals from drinking water. Yes, if you get your minerals from drinking water, that's great. But you want your water clean. The water in your body is clean. The molecules in the water are clean. The molecules in your body are clean H2O. Get your electrolytes somewhere else. But here's the real benefit of this so-called hungry water. And I kind of touched on it, but I didn't emphasize it as well as I should have. In pharmacy and in chemistry and in medicine, there is this principle called Fick's law that says that things go from where there's a lot to where there's a little. So if you put something in your body that doesn't have any minerals in it, has very little minerals in it, wherever it sees minerals, those minerals are going to get sucked into the hungry water. This is why they call it hungry water. It will get sucked into the hungry water. It won't be minerals that are part of your skeletal system because those are locked into place. Those are not coming out of your bone or your teeth. Those are locked in, but it will be the loose minerals that are in the tissues. Again, one of the things that happens to us as we get older is we calcify. And you get these mineral deposits in various soft tissues in the heart and in the kidneys, in the blood vessels. They're part of the plaques that form that cause atherosclerosis, which is a leading cause of heart disease. Distilled water will clean all that out. It has a cleansing effect. So the fact that it's empty, like you say, is good. The fact that it's hungry, which is what other people say, is good. It gives it a chelating property, a cleansing property. Is that the main reason why you heard that distilled water is a problem?
Well, yeah, I had an MD tell me that it's pulling because I had osteoporosis.
He told you it's pulling it out of the bones?
That it was the distilled water that I was drinking because I thought this was clean water.
He was a medical dummy, MD for medical dummy. Tell him, do you know who he is?
I think he's probably dead by now.
Okay, all right, all right. So if anybody ever says that, I want to put him on my show and we can have a little conversation. It will not pull minerals out of your bones. The minerals in your bones are trapped in the bones. They don't come out. They're stuck in the bones. Your body, the water in your body is clean water. It's not electrolyte water. It's not tap water. It's distilled water, the water part of your body. There's nothing else in it. It's the water molecules are essentially distilled water, the H2O molecules. So no, that's not going to happen.
Okay, so that's good news, folks. That's really good news. Another thing that you had mentioned, which I've been told to drink half your body weight in water.
You know, there's really no way to know how much water to drink. It's hard to say, and like I said earlier, if you're drinking water and not electrolytes, you run the risk of urinating out your vitamin C and your electrolytes. Electrolytes, not so much probably because the kidneys control those, but vitamin C and the B complex could be urinated out. So it's hard to say how much water to drink. You can go by thirst. I would err on the side of a little extra water personally, because sometimes your body is low on water before the thirst sense, the thirst stimulus is triggered. So you don't want to go into that state where you're a little bit dehydrated, but not dehydrated enough to know that to activate thirst. So personally, I always drink a little extra water. You'll know when you've drank too much water. You'll feel bloated or you'll feel full when you drink too much water. So you'll know when you have too much water. Better to drink too much extra water than not enough. There's no real way to know half your body weight or half a gallon a day. There's all these different numbers. Some people say 8 glasses. Some people say 6 glasses. There's no real way to know. And then you're getting water from other sources. You're getting water from foods too. So how much of that water, how do you subtract the amount of water that you got from food to know if you're drinking 8 glasses a day? Is it really 6 glasses a day because you're getting 2 glasses from water or from food? It's hard to say. I can't tell you a specific number.
Okay. And then going to the vegetable juices, question here is, what about the oxalates and anti-nutrients said to be in plant and veggies?
Low PQ. And I'm shocked when I hear healthcare professionals say that. Oxalates are a waste product. Oxalates come into the body, oxalates get into the blood because cells are under stress, not because you're eating oxalates. Oxalates are a waste product and they're a sign of cellular duress. They're a sign, when oxalates start to accumulate, they're a sign that your body is making too much oxalates, not that you're eating too much oxalates. There's not a lot of anti-nutrients in vegetables unless you have a lectin response. There are molecules in vegetables that people will react to. Now, if you have an immune reaction to certain vegetables, that's something you got to be careful of, for sure. But as far as anti-nutrients go, for example, phytates are powerful antioxidants. Phytates are powerful cancer fighters. So phytates are great. You want phytates. Will it tie up some minerals? Maybe a little bit of the minerals will get tied up, but the benefits of phytates far outweigh the amount of minerals that get tied up. And I know I'm probably stepping on toes here because I understand what the current meme is about phytates and oxalates, but oxalates are a waste product. They're a sign of cellular duress. Make sure you're using your Mighty 90 essential nutrients and staying away from sugar, especially. in order to reduce oxalates. Spinach, for example, which contains super high amounts of oxalates, is one of the most nutrient-dense foods you could ever eat. So to deprive yourself of spinach or spinach juice because you're afraid of oxalates doesn't really make much nutritional sense. Phytic acid or phytates, is true, are found in grains, mostly nuts and seeds and grains, and they do have a tendency to chelate or to trap minerals, but they're also very powerful antioxidants and cancer fighters. In fact, IP6, which is phytic acid, is used to treat cancer. So to me, phytates are great. Will they tie up some minerals? Yes, they probably will tie up some minerals. So get your minerals from somewhere else, or take a little extra minerals, or take supplemental minerals.
Now, you had mentioned cancer, and we have a question here on YouTube wanting to know your opinion on the supplements to take if somebody has been diagnosed with Merkel cell carcinoma.
Merkel cell carcinoma is just a specific type of cancer of the Merkel cell. Merkel cells are cells that are in the skin, and they're involved with the nervous system and touch and various sensations in the skin. Merkel cell carcinoma is a very serious form of cancer, but it's cancer. Cancer, and I think I don't want to keep repeating myself for people who've heard me say this before, but I'll say it again. Cancer is a sign that a cell is freaked out. There's no such thing as cancer. There is cellular carcinoma. So when we say, Merkel cell cancer obviously is the Merkel cell, but when we say breast cancer, it's really the breast cell that is cancerous. When we say prostate cancer, it's the prostate cell that's cancerous. We look at the whole organ when we think about cancer, but as this person correctly identified, it's the cell that is cancerous. A cell has to have three basic needs in order for it to function, in order for it to be fully functional. It has to have food, it has to have oxygen, and it has to have a clean environment. Under ordinary circumstances, the cell is wonderfully detoxifying. There's a process that occurs in the cell that cleans out all the waste, that actually incinerates the waste. Under normal circumstances, there's plenty of nutrients coming in, there's plenty of oxygen coming in. However, we know that based on the way our world is and the food we eat and our 21st century lifestyles, we and our cells are not getting enough oxygen. We're not breathing correctly. We have inflammation that blocks the delivery of oxygen. We have sluggish blood. We're not getting enough nutrients. We are getting anti-nutrients like sugar. We're not getting enough of the mighty 90 essential nutrients, and we're toxic. All of these conspire to make the cell very sick, disturbed. When a cell is sick, what's supposed to happen, and it happens most of the time, is the cell dies. It will just kill itself. In fact, it will either get killed by the toxins, or it will literally kill itself in a process called apoptosis, where the cell commits suicide. That's what's supposed to happen. But every once in a while, a cell doesn't die. And instead of dying, it comes up with another strategy to survive the lack of oxygen, to survive the lack of nutrition, to survive the toxicity. And that strategy is rapid division. When a cell is dividing rapidly, it doesn't need a lot of nutrition. It just needs sugar. When a cell is dividing very rapidly, it doesn't necessarily need oxygen. It can survive on sugar. And when a cell is dividing very rapidly, it doesn't have to concern itself with toxicity as much. So rapid division, which is what carcinogenesis is a coping mechanism. It's a way a cell that has not killed itself or not died has developed a strategy a cell has developed to survive in an environment that is not conducive to the growth of a complex cell. A cancer cell is dividing very rapidly, but it's not complex. In fact, a cancer cell is more like a bacterial cell. There's two major classes of cells. There's a few classes, but there's two major classes of cells. There's primitive cells, which are bacteria. Those are called prokaryotes. Pro means primitive or predecessor of. Karyote means cell. Eukaryotes, that's EU. Eukaryote means good cell. So you have prokaryotes, primitive cells, bacteria, or the classic example of prokaryotes, and you have eukaryotes. Those are complex cells with lots of parts, with a nucleus and mitochondria and all these different organelles that do all of these different functions. And eukaryotes not only have tremendous complexity, but they also can give up their individual life and become an organ. So a eukaryote cell can become a heart cell, or it can become a skin cell, or it can become a liver cell. A prokaryote can't do that. A prokaryote is very disorganized. It doesn't really have a lot of complex structures inside it. It doesn't have a nucleus inside of it, and it doesn't give up of its life to become other cells. So when it divides rapidly, it doesn't form other organs. It just keeps dividing rapidly. A cancer cell is like that. It's a bacterial cell. It's a prokaryote. It acts like a prokaryotic cell. It's not a prokaryote, but it acts like one. In other words, it's kind of like saying, look, you've been starving. It's saying to us, our cancer cell saying to us, look, Rebecca, look, Ben, look, whoever, I've been giving myself up so I could be a liver, I could be a heart. I've been giving my own independence up for you. And in return, you poisoned me, you starved me, you suffocated me. Guess what? I'm not going to become a heart anymore. I'm not going to become a liver anymore. I'm not going to be a prostate anymore. I'm not going to be a breast anymore. I'm just going to go about my own business and divide because I got to survive. It's a cell that is at its wit's end and doesn't know what to do. And so for Merkel cell carcinoma, to get back to this question, what you got to do is the same thing you have to do for all cancers. You have to flood the body with oxygen. You have to flood the body with nutrients, with the mighty 90 essential nutrients, saturate it, just drench the cells with nutrition, and you have to make sure there's no toxicity in the system. And sugar is the most important toxin. So, but of course, drugs are toxic, and our environment is toxic, and there's toxins in the water and hormones, and that's easier said than done, but minimize the amount of toxicity you interact with, minimize or maximize the amount of nutrition, and maximize the amount of oxygen. Now, there's also mental and emotional and spiritual strategies. I don't want to get into those now, but understand that when our body is under duress, that creates a duress at the level of the cell as well. So when we're psychologically in duress, spiritually and mentally in duress, emotionally in duress, our cells will also be in duress, and that means less oxygen, that means less nutrients, and that means more toxicity for the cell itself. So those elements have to be addressed too. But from a physical level, it's not like, oh, for Merkel cell carcinoma, you need selenium. For breast cancer, you need vitamin C. For prostate cancer, you need zinc. It doesn't work like that. The cells need the mighty 90 essential nutrients, all of them. If you have cancer, that means the cells need them even more.
So for those of you that are listening, get back with the person that shared this program with you and tell them, I need the mighty 90. And if you have something going on, like Pharmacist Ben just mentioned, where you need the extra oxygen, tell them you need Oxybody too. So brain and heart pack, Oxybody. Oxybody, Dr. Conaway recommends taking on an empty stomach first thing in the morning, and then again at night, just before bed. So you're getting that extra oxygen in. So that was a great explanation, Pharmacist Ben, on cancer. And I think that the answer will definitely satisfy the people that we have here on YouTube asking the question. Now, we do have questions here with us in the live Zoom, and we're going to go to Tim. Tim, go ahead and unmute yourself, and I'll go ahead and bring you on camera with us.
Okay.
Hi, Tim.
Hi there. I've wanted to always get on with you guys, but my schedule is kind of rough because I caretake for my wife 24/7. Right now she's resting, so I'm here. 30 years ago, my wife started getting spurs on her heels.
Okay.
And she was very courageous. She would just kick them off somehow. I don't know how she did it, but she said it hurt. But anyway, through the 30 years, her lower legs have started getting calcium deposits.
Yes.
And poking through the skin. Now, they were getting so big. One was like a quarter size, and the other size was maybe like a 50-cent piece. So I decided, as her husband, I would start taking those things out of her legs. Well, I found out she's got so much calcium in her legs, I had to actually drill the calcium and chip it off because it was coming up to the surface so far. Is there anything, now I'm not asking you to fix this, okay? I'm just telling you what happened.
Yeah,
So right now she has, the skin would not heal over that calcium. And it's all in her legs. So I try to chip out as much as I can. Just recently, I tried using some 20-butene borax to clean out her wounds, because when it was coming to the surface, it would start to get infected. But now her infection is not that bad, but I could smell the skin putrefying. But anyway, it seems to be getting better doing that, and the skin is coming over since I've removed some of that calcium. Do you know of anything that can remove that calcium? It's hard stuff.
Well, I don't know about you. I'm kind of not really understand what you're saying. Bone spurs are in the bone; they're not in the skin. So how are you getting it out of? What do you mean when you're drilling into it? You're drilling into the bone?
Okay, in her lower legs.
Yeah.
These calcium things have come out through her skin. There's so much calcium there.
Oh, wow. She's got a lot of calcium. It's coming up to the top?
Yeah, well, out through the top. It turned out the skin is separated, and you have those calcium things right in the middle of it. And then the pus starts coming out around that calcium. So I had to drill out all that calcium and get it loose so the skin could go back over it.
Wow. That's I never heard any that much calcification, but you can rest assured if she has that kind of calcification on her heels, she got calcification everywhere. Calcification.
Now the heels,
sorry.
The heels are done. They stop.
Well, it's not just going to stop. If she's calcifying, she's calcifying. Like I said,
okay.
One of the ways we age, and in fact, one of the ways we die is because of calcification. We turn to stone. That's what happens when you calcify, you're turning to stone. What's happening is calcium is leaving the bones. And that could be due to a lot of things. One of the most important things is acidification of the blood, low pH at the level of the blood. Calcium has a neutralizing effect on the blood. So calcium will come out of the bones in order to neutralize acid pH. So you want acid pH, as I was saying earlier, is a sign of toxicity, a sign of stress, not psychological stress. I'm talking about physiologic stress. So one of the things you want to start focusing on is, there's a bunch of things. One of the things you want to do is you want to focus on alkalinizing the blood. Does that, you understand what I'm saying when I talk about alkaline and acid and alkaline? You want to raise the blood pH.
Yeah.
Raise the blood pH. You may want to get some pH strips and do a saliva or urinary pH and see where she's at. Chances are she's pretty darn acidic. And so she can use her, if she takes her blood pH or her, not her blood pH, but her urine pH or her saliva pH, she can use that as a metric to see how if she's getting better. So when her pH goes up, she'll know she's getting better. Does that make sense? And
okay,
so,
yeah.
Have her do a saliva or urinary pH. You can buy pH papers at the drugstore. And then start doing slow, deep breathing, which is the fastest way to raise the pH of the blood. Which you'll notice that if she's doing it, if she does it correctly, is her pH will start to rise. Now, it could also be that she's dealing with some kind of stress in the body, some kind of disease, inflammatory process in the body. All of those will also make the blood more acidic, so she needs to address those. There's a lot of ways to address those. I'd have to see what kind of symptoms she's had. She probably has other symptoms. If she has that kind of acidity, she's got to have some other symptoms. How old is she?
We're both right above 70.
Okay. Well, she's got to have some other. Is she on any medication?
She has high blood pressure medicine.
Okay.
But she, see, I'm getting old. I forgot. She's losing her eyesight.
Okay. All right. She's got general deterioration, and that would make her blood acidic, and that would cause the calcium to leach out of the bones. See, it's like it's a domino effect. The body breaks down because of whatever duresses there are. There could be inflammatory duress, nutritional duress, hypoxia, low levels of oxygen, and then you start to have all of these symptoms. So you want to figure out first and foremost what's causing the duress. The three major causes of duress are toxicity, malnourishment, and low oxygen. Those are the three major forms of duress. So start working on those three levels. The fastest way to raise the pH of the blood is the oxygen. I would be getting on the Mighty 90 nutrients as soon as possible. Vitamin C in particular can help with calcification. Same with vitamin K, which is like a calcium magnet that keeps calcium in the bones. Magnesium can also improve calcification. And then if there's any toxicity that's getting into the system, drugs are toxic. I mean, she needs her drugs, maybe, and that's going to put a toxic burden on the system. If she's eating a lot of sugar, that can put a toxic burden on the body. If she's drinking tap water or getting toxins from other sources, you got to control those. But don't overthink it. The fact is that the calcification, the bone spurs, are not just happening in the bone, they're happening everywhere in the body, and they're a sign of general deterioration. The metric for that general deterioration is acidity, low pH. That's the measurement of that deterioration. And that's going to be the metric that you're going to use to see if she's getting better. And the way you test it is with pH paper. And the strategies
I believe I have some of that.
The strategies you're going to use to get her better are detoxification. That means eliminating, well, there's a lot of ways to detoxify, but one of the best ways is to eliminate the toxins in the first place. More water has a detoxifying effect, as we just talked about. Improved bowel movements and fiber and probiotics. The nightly essence will have a detoxifying effect. There's a zillion ways to detoxify. So I'm just going to tell you detoxification, making sure you're flooding the body with the Mighty 90 essential nutrients, focusing on vitamin C, especially magnesium and vitamin K. And then this I call it SDR breathing, slow, deep, rhythmic breathing. If you don't breathe correctly, you say, oh, now I'm going to breathe. I'm going to start practicing breathing, but you don't do it right, you may make matters worse. So you want to do it correctly. And the way to do it correctly is by doing SDR breathing, slowly, deeply into the diaphragm and in a rhythm. Go on YouTube and look up Wim Hof breathing, WIMHOFF, Wim Hof breathing. And that's Wim Hof is a breathing guru, and he's got a bunch of good YouTube videos on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet. God bless you.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, wow. Yes, we'll definitely be keeping your wife in our thoughts and prayers, and you also as her caregiver. And on that topic, Pharmacist Ben, Ginny has a question. So if minerals calcify in our bodies and cause problems, then wouldn't adding minerals be bad?
Say that again.
If minerals calcify in our bodies.
Minerals don't calcify. Minerals don't calcify. Calcium calcifies. Calcium calcifies. But it's not calcium that you're taking. It's calcium that's coming out of the bones. Why would calcium come out of the bones? Calcium comes out of the bones as the body attempts to change the pH of the blood. So you have, see, this is that domino thing that I was just telling you about. The blood becomes acid. And even before that, we're sick. Our cells are under duress. That causes acidity into the blood. Acid's a waste product. Acid in the blood is neutralized by calcium. One of the body's major strategies for neutralizing acid in the blood is to release calcium. That calcium is now floating around in the blood, will deposit in various places of the body, including the bones, as in bone spurs or the arteries and atherosclerosis, or the brain or the kidneys or various parts of the body. So it's not nutritional supplements that are doing it. It's calcium that's coming out of the bones that are causing the calcification. Secondly, plant-derived minerals are water-soluble minerals. They dissolve in water. They don't create stones. They dissolve. Calcium from the bones, those will calcify.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Ginny. I hope that answered your question. Now let's go to Caroline. Caroline, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, I just want to put my video on as well. So, hi Ben, it's Caroline from Melbourne. Just a question regarding, I'm just looking for logistics for someone who has just started their Healthy Body blood sugar pack, has diabetes type 2 and is on metformin. So I want to know how they will go about asking their MD to reduce their metformin with now that they're taking the sweeties? I just want to know logistically, because I'm not.
Well,
I don't know
logistically,
how that would happen.
logistically, you pretend you're the MD, okay? And I'll pretend I'm the patient, okay? I want my metformin lowered, period. That's how you do it.
Okay.
But now I'm just kind of being facetious a little bit. What you want to do is you want to make sure that the blood sugar is being stabilized by the sweeties and the patient is not eating as much sugar. Naturally, the patient's need for metformin will decrease. So once the patient's on the sweeties and doing the diabetic diet, the anti-diabetic diet, and reducing the sugars, he or she should be able to naturally lower their dose of metformin. But okay. I was kind of being a little facetious when I said that. We don't want to get into this idea that we have to do what the doctor tells us to do. You know, that's that whole PQ situation. When we feel like we don't know what's going on, low PQ, oh, I'm too dumb, I can't figure this out. That's you tell me what to do. We lose our power, and then we do whatever we're told. Look, the doctor, if you have some kind of reaction or you have nutritional deficiencies because you're taking your drugs, or you end up with a liver problem because you're taking the drugs or whatever, doctor's going to be fine. It's your body, and it's up to us. We don't ask the doctor. The word doctor means educator, by the way, like a doctrine. A doctor is supposed to teach people and not tell people what to do, but teach them about their bodies. That's what a real doctor will do, explain to them about their bodies so that they can be their own health authority. So this idea of like, you know, my doctor told me I have to do this. My doctor told me, my doctor wants me to do this. Where do we lose our independence? Where do we lose our authority? Where do we become infantilized? We become like children when it comes to our bodies, which are the most important things in the world to us. There's nothing more important. Our kids are not more important than our bodies. Nothing is more important to us than our bodies. Without our bodies, we can't do anything. And once our bodies break down, we can't do anything. So we have to learn to understand our bodies. So when a health authority comes and tells us you have to do this or you have to do that, we'll at least have the understanding or the knowledge to be able to question and act and figure out, cooperate with the physician in terms of helping us deal with our bodies, rather than just becoming an infant and doing what we're told.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I think the concern was obviously the MD may not know what they're doing. So I just want
they don't know about nutrition. They don't understand nutrition, because here's the thing, you guys, and not just for Carolyn, this is for everybody. A doctor has a toolkit that he works with. And that toolkit is very important for helping you if you have a heart attack, or you get into a car accident, or a rock hits you on the head, or you get a black eye, you have some kind of injury. But the toolkit doesn't work for diabetes. The toolkit doesn't work for arthritis. The toolkit doesn't work for cancer. It's not his fault. He doesn't have the tools. Nutrition works for all of those. The lifestyle issues that are most of our health challenges are not, you can't treat them with the tools that a doctor has. They're lifestyle tools. If you go to a carpenter and ask him to fix your car, he's going to take a saw and he's going to take a hammer and he's going to saw things and he's going to hammer things. He's going to put nails in things, but that's not going to fix your car. It's going to make your car worse, but that's his tools. You know, it's like the famous psychologist, Adler, I forgot his first name, Adler, said, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And that's what, you know, their tools are hammers. So they're trying to hammer things. They're trying to make our body look like a nail, but our body's not a nail. Our body needs to have nutrition. It's much more subtle. It needs to have the mighty 90 essential nutrients and oxygen and a clean place to do its work and a good psychological environment and exercise and movement and all these things that are lifestyle things that we can do ourselves.
So can I just ask logistically, what is with the metformin and the sweeties together, what's the blood sugar going to be doing? Is it going to be low? The level's going to be lower?
Yes, the blood sugar will go down.
Yeah.
Metformin works by making insulin more potent. As we get older and as our bodies become subject to the ravages of sugar over time, our cells stop listening to insulin. That's called insulin resistance, which is also known as type 2 diabetes. And when cells stop listening to insulin, the sugar starts to accumulate, or it gets stored as fat. When the sugar accumulates or it gets stored as fat, we say we're a diabetic. Metformin makes the cells more responsive to insulin. So does chromium. So does vanadium. So does niacin. So does selenium. There's a lot of nutrients that will do that too. So in essence, they're like natural versions of metformin.
Great. Perfect. Okay. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate that. It's great. Great information.
Thank you, Caroline.
All right. Thank you, Caroline. Carolyn. We have so many Carolines and Carolines that are just awesome. Then they pronounce them different.
Caroline. Ba, ba, ba.
That's right. So we have one more question,
Yes.
Pharmacist Ben, and this has to do with a health professional talking about the keto diet.
Who is there a health professional on the call?
No. So it's somebody that's watching that heard recently from a keto health professional that one should not take omega in supplement form, because even if high quality, by the time it reaches the digestive system, body heat turns it rancid.
You know, that's possibly true that it will turn rancid, but you need them so much. They're so important. They're so hard to get from food. And I personally, in my life as a professional, as a healthcare professional, I see the most dramatic things happen to people with their skin when they supplement with omega fats. I've observed it myself. Psoriasis, eczema, dry skin. I've seen this happen. So yes, I know what they're saying, that the body heat itself can oxidize omega oils, but the gel cap will protect it. Some have a certain protective effect. It's possible, I can't say for sure, and I don't think anybody can say for sure how much of that omega will get oxidized, but the fact is they're essential fatty acids. The word essential means you're dead without it. It doesn't mean that your body can't make it. Some people say, oh, it means your body can't make it. That's true, but it's deeper than that. It means you're dead without it, like air is essential. Without air, you're dead because air is essential. Without omega fatty acids, you're dead. Now, you will get some, most people aren't gonna have zero, so they're not gonna die necessarily, but the changes in the health of the skin that I've seen in myself when people start supplementing with both omega-6s and omega-3s are so dramatic that I'm a big believer. Although, I mean, yeah, you can talk to a lot of people. Although that healthcare professional's point is well taken, that even the heat in the body can oxidize these omega fats. They're super unstable, which is why we don't get them in our foods. I mean, even the slightest amount of heat in your fish, for example, will mess up the omega fats. And so what are you going to do? Yeah, that's the best way to get them is from ingesting them. But their point is well taken. I can't disagree with that.
All right. Thank you so much. And okay, one more. So CJ has a question in regards to the sweeties. 2 parts. How much should somebody take if they are diabetic? And also, when should they be taken?
2 or 3 with every meal. When you put sugar into your blood, that's when you need the sweeties. Now, if you're loaded up with chromium and vanadium because you've been taking it for a while, you can miss a meal here and there. But for best results, take them with meals and take 2 or 3.
And can you have too many?
You'd have to swallow the whole bottle. I've never really heard of anybody having too many. You have to really go crazy.
Right. Okay, so folks, you don't need to go crazy. The body can do some amazing things with the nutrients it gets, especially when it's been deficient for so long. I know I find people have better responses the more sick they are.
Yeah, that's right. Isn't that great? That's one of the coolest things about the body. And for longevity distributors, that's our secret weapon, is because most people are so nutritionally deficient that once they get a little bit of nutrients in their body sucks it up like a dry sponge sucks up water, and they get quick results. That's our secret weapon as longevity distributors, is the fact that the body is so forgiving that the sicker it is, the faster it turns it around. The more weight you need to lose, the faster the pounds drop off. And the more nutritionally deficient you are, the faster your body absorbs them, because most people are so nutritionally deficient, you put some nutrients in them, like some Beyond Tangy Tangerine, it's like, boom! All of a sudden they get this big hit of nutrients. It reminds me of a plant that's never been watered, and all of a sudden, or hasn't been watered for a week or 2, and you put water in it, and all of a sudden it just blossoms.
And that's exactly what I experienced. And I thought I was eating right.
Awesome.
So, yeah, folks, thank you so much for joining us here on Q&A with Pharmacist Ben. Oh, we have one more question. Oh, so female is taking the Xerafem and the 90 and it's still having hot flashes.
Oh yeah, let's do a hot flash show next time.
All right, next time we're talking hot flashes, folks.
The most important thing about hot flashes, and we can talk about it more at length, and menopausal symptoms, the most important thing about hot flashes is it's a sign that the system is revved up. And the most important way that the system gets revved up is with sugar and with psychological duress. The adrenal glands are your hot flash glands. Hot flashes are controlled in the brain, but the adrenal glands, your stress glands, are your hot flash glands. So the way you deal with hot flashes is you work on the adrenal glands. And most people get hot flashes will notice, especially if they get night sweats or hot flashes at night, or will notice that they had wine before they went to bed, or they had some kind of sweet meal or dessert before, a few hours before they went to sleep, and their blood sugar went high and then dropped, or they just had high blood sugar. So working on the blood sugar system and working on the adrenal glands is the way you deal with hot flashes and menopausal symptoms. And we should definitely talk about that.
Yes, I
and also
agree.
essential fatty, the ultimate EFAs. I didn't hear her say that she was on the EFAs, but the EFAs.
So the 90, but we don't know if it's
the
enough.
The EFAs are really important, and anything you can do for adrenal health. The stress, de-stress. The nutrients in de-stress are great for any adrenal issues.
Perfect. Well, awesome.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody.
Show. Thank you, Pharmacist Ben. Everybody,
thank you, Rebecca. Thank you for what you're doing. All right, bye.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate you. Bye for now. Everybody get back with the person that invited you to this program. Thank them for allowing you to take time to invest in yourself with empowering information that you can utilize within your own body without having to have the permission of anybody else. You want to get well? You just got information that'll help you do that. Take that information, utilize it, and share with others. Again, get back with the person that shared this program with you. We love you guys. We appreciate you. And since you've heard this information, be empowered. Share it. If you're on YouTube, share our YouTube video. If you're on Rumble, share the Rumble video. If you're on Facebook, share the Facebook video. Again, we are found at Critical Health News on Rumble and YouTube, and Critical Health, just Critical Health, on Facebook. Feel free to use our programs as a resource. This is what this program is being brought to you for, so that we can together become a healthier world. If there's nobody to thank, go to dailywithdoc.com, use that, contact us, and one of my certified holistic health coaches will get back to you. If you have never spoken to anybody about longevity, you were not referred to by this program by anyone. If you've never tried any of the longevity products, I do have a call team standing by at 855-949-3377. Again, that's for people that are not working with somebody within the longevity family already. 855-949-3377. I just want to do a quick shout out. I appreciate my co-hosts that I have on with me today. Ruth Ellen Sanchez, she and I, our hairs are going to turn gray and we're still going to be loved. Coach Rod, he's been checking out YouTube and Rumble and Facebook, checking and keeping an eye on the chat for us, and also the bouncer within the rooms. Marilyn Pizzera, the great information that she's sharing in the chat, and Sherry Browning, keeping an eye on those videos, making sure everybody's behaving themselves and allowing them into the room. I just appreciate you all. I could not do this without you. And folks, if you're looking to be part of a community that works together, no matter where you are within the community, get with the person that shared this program with you. Tell them, hey, I want to be part of something that is doing good, something that is providing, what would be the right word, guys? empowerment. I love the word empowerment,
And
but
hope.
something, and hope. That's right. So many times we go, purpose. Purpose is a good one. That's right. Greater purpose and hope as empowered individuals. Take it, use it, and don't let anybody take it away from you. You've been watching Q&A with Pharmacist Ben and Becca. We will be talking about hot flashes next month, so make sure that you are plugged in. If you are finding this program out on one of our live streams, go to dailywithdoc.com, sign up for our newsletter so that you get that invitation and announcement about when the next Q&A with Pharmacist Ben is. We also send out a weekly newsletter that goes through the Daily with Doc programs and what they were about and links to those replays to help you be able to help yourself and others more efficiently. Bye for now.